cringe!
I've been thinking about this for a while, and I wanted to talk about change in Power Rangers. And this is completely off scripted. I've not even written anything down. I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on this. And it's something that I think that some of the fandom need to kind of accept, because if not, we're going to get to the point where the brand's going to die. The brand's not going to go any further. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, you keep talking about this. But the fact is that I keep seeing this all the time, and it's so frustrating to me that some fans don't want change, because in theory, they don't want a better product. They just want something that reminds them of their childhood, that they watched, back in Mighty Morphing, and they absolutely hate anything that is stepping out from the norm. Part of this was inspired by Deoxy 360, and I've just done a video talking about how the new voice actor of Lord Zed has been chased away because Andrew doesn't sound like Robert, and thus therefore that echoed back in time and hit a load of people and slapped them around and changed their perspective of Power Rangers and their childhood. Now let's look at it. Power Rangers in general isn't doing that well, and I know people are going to argue like, what the fuck, you're completely wrong. No, I'm not. Look at it. We've gone from having a series pretty much every single year to the point now where we're getting a reboot probably in 2025. There's hardly anything, if not nothing, going to happen in 2024 because Power Rangers has left New Zealand. There is nothing left there at all. And again, I keep referring to it. It's like your last days at work there, you're all moving and you look around and go, oh shit, that's it. There's nothing there, that you're moving on. And this is something that, the fans should be kind of a little bit worried about, because if the reboot doesn't do very well, I guarantee you Power Rangers will probably stop. And the only thing that we're going to be getting will be the Lightning Collection, and that is it. And a lot of people are going to turn around and say, hey, well, someone else may pick it up. Okay, well, at the end of the day, if Hasbro don't give up those rights, they've got to pay money to Hasbro, I'm guessing anyway, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but they've then got to pay something to Hasbro, and yet, whoever it is isn't going to be getting the toys or anything like that. And it kind of makes you feel like, what the fuck? So at the moment, we don't know what's going on with Power Rangers. The reboot is going to be a big thing when it comes to change, because that's not going to have the same actors that we did back in the 90s. So when you see someone as Jason, Kimberly, Billy, Zach, Trini, Tommy, and people go like, oh my god, I hate this, what are you going to do? Nothing. You're just going to complain on Twitter. And for me personally, I'm just so sick and tired of parts of the fandom being so toxic. So I think now, if I see it, I'm just going to call it out. So continuing on with Power Rangers in general, the show really hasn't changed at all. The show started to change, I think, all the way up. It started growing, and then Disney, it started growing, and then Saban, when they bought it back, it started and it dropped so hard, and it didn't do as well. When you had Beast Morphers, Dino Fury, and again, I don't know what Cosmic Fury is like, so I'm not going to put it in this one. But when you look at how Hasbro started changing stuff, how Simon and his team have started making it 10 times better, it's something that, not even that worked, to the point where what's coming in 2024, we have no idea. We just don't know. Let's look back at how people are saying oh, this ruined my childhood. You've got the MMP Arnold nostalgia goggles on and stuff like that. Okay, so in my last video, I talked about this. Did you all complain when Steve, Johnny, and Karen came in? What did you do about that? Did you turn around and stop watching? What happens when they changed suits in Zeo? What happens when they brought the Alien Rangers in? Did you stop watching because it wasn't the same and that ruined your childhood, or that was ruining your childhood? What about every single year when they bring out a new season? Did that ruin your childhood? Because by the logic of that, there should not have been any sort of change. We should have had the original actors from season 1 all go through until now and be the only set of Rangers and never have anyone else whatsoever. So please tell me, did that really kind of affect your childhood? I would love to know how this has gone back in time to change this, to become the most horrible point in time where you feel that your childhood has been ruined. So please tell me about this in the comments. Of course, we're going to get new actors coming along. Of course, we're going to get stuff happening in the franchise. It has to happen, otherwise it's stale, stagnant. Some things can't be avoided, and unfortunately death is one of them. So obviously when an actor passes on, which is a big shame, and it is sad to hear, when they need to make someone say, oh hey, we've not got a voice actor for Lord Zed, and they try to get someone to sound just like it or add their own flavor to it, we instantly just turn around and have a go at them. Like, why? Andrew, who did the voice of Lord Zed, did a really good job, and yet some people went on and harassed him to get him offline. So what happens if, say for example, Austin comes back and he was the one who voices Lord Zed? Are you gonna have a go at Austin because he was being paid to do a job, or are you just gonna kind of, you know, leave it? What's going to happen? Let's take another example. What happens if Robert was still with us, but he was unable to do the Lord Zed voice? He was not able to get the right tone, and it was off. Would people harass Robert, say like, do the voice properly? You've got to. And what happens if he said, I can't do that voice anymore because it hurts me and I don't want to sit in a booth for hours doing a Lord Zed voice because it hurts me? Are those fans, the certain ones that chased Andrew off, are they going to chase Robert off and say, oh, you ruined my childhood because you can't get the right pitch or tone for Lord Zed? What are you going to do? Like, this is something that generally kind of like irritates me, because some people just want the exact same thing that they had. So go watch it, go watch Mighty Morphin, go watch it and just relive those episodes and go, oh, my childhood's so amazing. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing. It is one of the things that drives us, because as humans, we like looking back into the past. We like to see something that makes us feel absolutely happy. Now, if a show like, say, Visionaries came back and it was exactly the same, yeah, it would trigger something inside me to go and maybe seek out the toys. Maybe if they bring out a toy line, which I know they did like with the one of the characters, I can't remember his name, but the Leo or something like that, the blue guy with the lion. Like, they made a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which was exactly like, or if not better, than the original. Now, let's say, for example, Visionaries does come back, and I then have a massive nostalgia trip, and I want to go buy all the toys. Nostalgia then has got me because I'm experiencing something that I did when I was younger. Power Rangers, since Saban brought it back, hasn't really moved past the Mighty Morphing era, because to me, Saban wanted that success that came with Mighty Morphing. If you look at everything that has pretty much happened since, like, say, Samurai to at least when Hasbro bought it with Beast Morphers, everything was the same themes, the same kind of setting, everything was the same. Hell, Super Megaforce and Megaforce had Ernie's juice bar. You had the whole thing of the Mighty Morphing music. Go-Go was used everywhere, which again is, you know, I see that as like marketing on that one. But because of nostalgia and everyone wanting it, with nostalgia, people will just say, oh my god, this is just like the good old days. And unfortunately, the brand hasn't really kind of recovered from that. And obviously, Beast Morphers to Dino Fury has obviously changed, but still has elements of Mighty Morphing in it. Again, nostalgia can be good and bad. And so far, when I see that certain fans are chasing off people within the Power Ranger acting community, as well as cast and crew, it's just horrible. You need to move past this whole thing of everything has to be like Mighty Morphing. Everything has to be the same. Like, it's not growing. It's literally stagnant. And that's the exact same thing that has happened over time. And it is really fucking infuriating. I made a tweet a while ago, and Lost Kimber actually turned around at a very good point. He said, too many one and dones to tug nostalgia strings. Everything after Zordon had no cohesive tissue and felt independent and one off. The fact is that Power Rangers has always had this one and done mentality, and I kind of see it now. You know, I never did originally. But, you know, obviously people love those seasons. There's never been anything that has moved past it. And, you know, it's a one series, one and done, and we never see them or hear about the other Rangers ever again.
Singing birds and buzzing bees and swinging spray. Fluffy clouds that hover high up in the brightly colored sky.
This is a thing that will always go on no matter what. Is there will always be a season, there will always be something in a season that nobody likes. And I get that. Like, I don't like certain things that happened in the past. There are seasons that I don't like, that I will never really watch because they don't resonate with me. I don't like what they made, and I don't like the certain storylines. Or there'll be ranges where I'm like, I would never have a go at them. I would never even turn around and go, what the fuck, and say this is shit and try and put it down. When I see stuff like, oh, I don't like the new Lord Zed voice, or I don't like this, I don't like the suits, everything just feels like everyone goes off the feeling of they see it, they don't like it, and then they move on. Like, it's like, you know, you can be vocal and stuff, but wait until you actually see it. Like, I could go back and say, well, I don't like SPD because I don't like this, or I don't like Mystic Force. I love Mystic Force, but I can turn around and say, I don't like Mystic Force because this didn't happen. Or I could go back and say, I can't stand MMPR because it doesn't have these elements that we have now. I sometimes think that some people in the fandom don't go off actual thinking, it's just emotions. Or I don't like the fact that Lord Zed didn't sound like, you know, he'd been smoking 20 a day. But, you know, like, get rid of Andrew, like, you know, I would have this person instead. I would have that person instead. At the end of the day, Simon and his team found a fitting voice actor who did amazingly, and they wanted him. And now, obviously, Andrew is gone because some fans didn't like the certain change. And that, to me, is absolutely, like, shit. When it comes to the future of the brand, there are going to be people that aren't going to be voicing or acting in this, and we have to accept this. If it's not doing it in a bad way, because people be like, well, you know, maybe we can get people to change their minds. Yeah, obviously we can. Look at the whole Sonic thing, when everyone bullied a company in a good way to get the character design of Sonic much better, and absolutely it did fantastically. But there's got to be at times within the Power Ranger franchise, either it continue or it all die, whatever we have, is there's got to be some changes. You're not going to get the exact same thing that we had back in the 90s. We're not going to get the same thing like we did with the Disney era. And we're definitely not getting anything with the Saban era, the Neo Saban era, anything like that. Because at the end of the day, things have to change, and we have to accept that. I accepted the fact that when they said, like, we're getting a brand new Lord Zed voice actor, because I knew that obviously Robert wasn't here with us anymore. So I accepted that, and that's what we all have to do, is accept it. You can voice your opinion, but you shouldn't bully someone online because, like, apparently it ruins your childhood. No, you've got to trust the people. And again, if you think, oh, it's not going to sound just like Lord Zed, no, I don't think anyone can recreate that voice. No one can recreate the voice whatsoever. So why is it that you've got to attack and be like, bully someone out of a job? It just makes no sense. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you want me to talk more about it, I'll make another video. I'll make a more lengthy one, etc., etc. So please let me know down below in the comments. The way I see all this is, it's weird that the Ranger fandom doesn't want change. They just want the same thing that has now been proven doesn't work anymore. You know, this worked in the 90s because obviously television was completely different. I mean, look at Star Trek Picard. That wasn't like singular episodes that led, like was originally with TNG, and they did absolutely amazing with season 3 because it was one long story arc that had multiple episodes that had, you know, the same conclusion, but it wasn't like, oh, here's one episode and that's the next episode. Power Rangers has to change. If not, it's just going to die. And obviously we're going to see this with the reboot if it ever comes out. But at the moment, the series, if it continued on into the next one, if it would be like whatever season it was, unfortunately, you know, it would have to change, and people would just absolutely go ham on it and be like, what the fuck? I love the Power Ranger fandom at times. What I don't like is, I don't like this negativity. I don't like this whole, let's bully actors, let's bully people so that we can get rid of them, because 9 out of 10 times, Simon and his crew have chosen the right people to do the job. You know, I just don't get this all. At the end of the day, if we don't accept change, it's just going to die. And I don't want that. I want Power Rangers to continue till way, way, way in the future. But right now, I'm just seeing that the whole thing is slowly dying and no one cares, because where is it in 2024? I don't think we're going to see anything in 2024. 2025, is probably going to be the reboot. To the people in the fandom that don't like change, why don't you like change? What is it that you feel is threatening something that you have been watching since in the 90s or since you started watching it? Why don't you like change? Because I feel right now you're throwing your toys out the pram because Lord Zed had a different voice actor and it wasn't Robert. What did you think? Do you think I have some valid points, or do you think that I'm completely wrong? So I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. Check out the channel memberships. And yeah, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimono Cat. Your help does go a long way to support the channel. And if you want to consider helping the channel, then links to my Patreon as well as the channel members are listed below.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。